is Rohan Malhotra, the CEO and founder of Roadzen. And I feel like every time we talk, you have some new announcement. I mean, you've been doing so much lately with the company. So this, at least as long as I've known you, has been the best year ever for the company. So let's do a deep dive into some of these new developments that you've had lately. Let's just start with revenue and profitability overall. Where do you stand with that? And you just closed on an $8 million capital raise too. So congratulations on that. And I know from past conversations, you've been keen to like streamline the balance sheet. So does this raise bring you closer to your targets?
Absolutely. While we raised capital at $70, we raised $8 million dollars at that price. It was at a discount to market, which is always a tough thing for investors, right? And we are sensitive to that. We are sensitive to dilution, but we also want to make sure that we de-risk our balance sheet, de-risk our path to growth, make sure the company can fire on all cylinders, and capital gives us the ability to do that. So what we are telling investors is look at the fundamental performance of the business. We have raised small amounts of capital. This was roughly 5% dilution. So it's not a lot of dilution, but it allows us to keep the acceleration we are seeing in the business going, as well as clean up the balance sheet. And those were the things which allowed us to enact on this. So putting a clean, straight equity deal on the balance sheet is always a good thing for us. I'm going to recap since the start of the year what we have announced. We've basically shown a consistent and concerted path towards increasing growth, increasing momentum across all our key markets, but also making sure that we are hitting the milestones on product, revenue, and innovation in AI. And those are kind of the things that matter to me the most from a company perspective. So very happy to chat about that. Then let's talk about revenues. We last reported in December. Our March results are due, which is our financial year end. But we had 14.5 million of revenue with a $500,000 adjusted EBITDA loss. March will be better than December. And since March, in the months of April and May, we have announced several new contracts that should be roughly $20 to $25 million in annual revenue for the company that should come on and go live. So what we are projecting is really, as I've said before, a year where we are going to accelerate from roughly $15 million a quarter of revenue, which was the December run rate, to a run rate of $25 million a quarter, which is 100 million on an annualized run rate basis. And that is the key goal for the company, is to break even on this path, as well as show this consistent and concerted growth across our key markets.
So, Rohan, the UK, I feel like every time I've talked to you lately, there's been some big development there, and you're just going full steam ahead. Just last week, you announced several UK contracts that are expected to contribute 2.5 million to your annual revenue. You've had two top car makers sign on to deliver gap insurance in the UK and in continental Europe. What's driving the momentum there?
I think we made a lot of changes in the UK over the last 18 months since the gap pause in the UK. We kind of restructured the business, we restructured the team, we tried to make sure that we can get, you know, renewed momentum on the business. And we're just incredibly glad to see the persistence of our team in the UK, which has delivered now a ton of major contracts, right? We delivered two of the top 10 largest car makers to deliver insurance programs for them as an MGA. And then we announced 9 new contracts with smaller fleets, commercial vehicles, and dealerships, announcing another 2.5 million in revenue. So we think the UK itself is going to be profitable this year and will have a significant growth momentum. And this is just the tip of the pipeline. The team in UK, led by Steve, is doing an incredible job in bringing in a lot of new contracts for the company, and we're super glad to ride that momentum and make sure that the UK remains on a sustained and profitable footing for the ongoing times.
And some exciting news from the US as well. So you've secured capacity commitment for $30 million that could generate annual revenue of 6 million. So talk about that. I know the US has the largest margin. What level of revenue growth could we look forward to perhaps coming out of the US next year?
As an MGA, capacity is the first, indicator that insurers are willing to back your technology, back your process, and give you their paper to underwrite policies. So when we have capacity, and this capacity is backed by $50+ million of demand from Roadzen's agencies and partners that we worked with. So we can actually build into this capacity, sell into it, and create roughly $6 to $8 million of annual revenues for the company. And also, we have a profit sharing agreement with our reinsurance partners. So we think there's a huge, and 50 million is nothing because we're doing commercial auto insurance in the US, which is essentially a $80 billion market just in the US, right? So we are just getting started. The capacity is also paired with our Drive Buddy program. So essentially, with Drive Buddy AI in the commercial vehicles in the US, we can manage the risk better. We can reduce the loss profile, thereby maintaining a higher profitability on the capacity that we have got from our partners. So we think this is like the way we are going to proceed in the US is to make sure we integrate our claims capabilities, our road safety capabilities through Drive Buddy, and the MGA capabilities through elite cover and deliver on what is the largest market in the world with the best margins, the strongest growth we believe. And what we are saying is we'll make the US our biggest market within less than 3 years.
Now, you announced the vehicle care acquisition in January. This has to do with the India growth. Closed that in 3 months. Shortly thereafter, announced a significant win for vehicle care as well that could generate 10 million in annual revenue. What's next for vehicle care, and where do you see the core business in India going over the next year?
Well, India is kind of like a incredibly fast-growing business for us. We work with 21 out of the 23 insurers who sell auto insurance in India. So it is a market that we understand deeply. It is a market that is growing, probably one of the fastest growing auto insurance markets in the world, one of the fastest growing auto markets in the world as well. So this is a market that has structural tailwinds on growth for Roadzen, given our coverage in the market, our relationships, the adoption of our technology, and now the acquisition of vehicle care, which added the critical missing piece. And what vehicle care now is doing, and it allows us to do, is to own the layer of execution on the claim. So we don't just say this is the estimate. We say, take your car to this garage. The parts will be delivered on time. The labor is ready to accept your car. The bay is open and we can get it repaired within 2 days. This is a all orchestrated on software and using AI agents. And we think this is a major real world AI play that we are making and promising something that is the core of the insurance claims experience. And we think there are no real other competitors in this space who can deliver this kind of experience at scale in any market. And we're starting with India, but we're going to expand this to global markets as
Hmm.
well. This morning, we also announced that Vehicle Care has partnered with TEMOT International, which is one of the largest global automotive parts supplier networks. And what that does for us is that we can now say, okay, here's the estimate. We can deliver the part to the garage pre getting the car to the garage. So the garage is fully prepared to begin work on the car. The insurance paperwork is fully approved by our AI. And now there are no delays in actually getting the car turned around and back on the road, which is a significant step as well. And what the TMOT partnership allows us to do is to increase our margin per claim, which we think can go up significantly because we are also then becoming the part supplier through this network to the garages. So it just opens up massive new revenue and margin opportunities for us in India.
Yeah, very interesting. Let's talk about Dry Buddy too. Dry Buddy AI, the opportunity there. Analysts don't seem to have that factored into their projections. So now that you've received in India the $2.5 million commercial deployment contract with one of the fast-growing fleet operators, and have noted that Dry Buddy AI is in your capacity agreement with the US as well. I mean, how do you see that factoring into the business going forward?
Well, the incredible thing about Driver AI and one of the big catalysts we have spoken about so much, Jane, you and I, is that there is this AIS 184 catalyst in India where they are saying OEM should equip their trucks with this technology. But what fleet owners are saying, we don't want to wait for the mandates to kick in. And what we announced was the largest such contract for Roadzen, which is 3,000 vehicles, $2.5 million, where one of the largest, fastest growing fleet owners in the country, transporting hazmat materials, steel, and chemicals, is said, we want to adopt this technology ahead of the mandates. We think this is great for business, great for drivers, great for safety, and it lowers our insurance costs. It's a no-brainer. And that's what we think is a huge catalyst as we see strengthening adoption in the entire fleet universe. Those are the fastest guys to move forward. The OEMs can take time because they have to integrate in their product development timelines. But with fleet owners, they are saying, look, we are ready to do this now. And this is going to be one of the growth catalysts for Drive Buddy coming on in this year for us.
Rohan, thank you so much for the update. Look forward to the next time we chat.
Thank you so much, Jane. Have a nice day.
Thanks.